The Sudanese government and rebels are in final negotiations for a peace accord that would put an end to a 2-decade-long civil war between the predominantly Muslim North and the animist and Christian South. Meanwhile, a separate conflict in the Darfur region of Western Sudan has claimed thousands of lives and displaced as many as 1 million people out of a population of 7 million.
It's 25th of January and I finally arrived in the Nuba Mountains, where I'll be monitoring the North-South ceasefire.
It's the view from the front porch. Satellite dishes, looking down towards the town of Kadugli. Over, that's our kitchen on the far right, a little outside conference area. It's my room, bed, closet, desk. Looking out, sunrise is right about there.
International Crisis Group says the deteriorating humanitarian, security, and political situation in the Darfur region of Western Sudan is threatening to undermine a recently signed peace accord, which ended more than 2 decades of war in the south.
We are getting reports about tensions in Darfur, a region to our west. The ceasefire negotiations between the North and the South didn't include Darfur. And Darfur wants some of what the South has been promised, like a share of Khartoum's wealth and resources. The north of Sudan is mainly Arab, and the government of Sudan is controlled by the leaders from these Arab tribes. The people of Darfur want a role in this government. They want to be able to have economic development on their land. And Khartoum doesn't want them to have this. This conflict started with 2 main rebel groups, the SLA and the GEM, the Sudanese Liberation Army and the Justice and Equality Movement. Overall, these rebel groups are all fighting for the people of Darfur. They want to be able to have equal rights. They want to be able to make choices, own property. They wanted to be able to have education for their kids. That's what the rebels were fighting for. In April 2003, rebel groups attacked an airport in El Fasher. The rebels rolled into this airport. They destroyed a number of aircraft on the ground, both Antonov bombers and helicopter gunships. They killed close to 75 people. This is one of the largest blows that had ever been delivered to the Sudanese government. This incited the government of Sudan to close off Darfur, kick out all foreigners, and they went on a complete killing spree in Darfur.
We're hearing more about the attacks going on in Darfur. The government is training Arab militias called the Janjaweed, and the Janjaweed are sent to attack and burn villages.
The Khartoum government denies helping the Janjaweed, but officials here say the militiamen are armed by the central authorities and get tactical support from government military aircraft. UN Secretary General Kofi Annan suggested Wednesday that outside military intervention might be needed in Darfur.
The Janjaweed, which means devil on a horse, are the Arab militia groups that are armed and trained by the Sudanese government. The government of Sudan decided, well, we need to fight back against these Africans. Who competes for land resources? Who has raided them for slaves for thousands of years? Who's their natural enemy? They choose these Arab militias. The Janjaweed are paid in loot, and they're allowed to loot and burn and rape whatever they want.
It was just recently that the regime celebrated its anniversary, an event which illustrated where Omar al-Bashir's power base lay, with the army. Al-Bashir is a general who seized control of Sudan in 1989 in a military coup.
With a dove of peace, President al-Bashir told the crowds the militias were no longer here in West Darfur. But locals said many of these men who came here to praise him were known leaders of the Arab militias, the Janjaweed, that Sudan's government is accused of backing. God has a special place in the fires of hell for killers, the president shouted.
Cold coffee. Couldn't heat the coffee up. Drinking it cold.
The comprehensive peace agreement to end Sudan's civil war could collapse under the weight of ongoing violence in Sudan's western Darfur region. Since 2003, violence in Darfur has claimed the lives of at least 180,000 people and caused 2 million to flee their homes.
In Sudan, when one piece of the mosaic crashes,